Welcome to Haunted Homebodies, where Halloween isn't just a day, it's a lifestyle. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sarah, and we're your guides through the delightfully dark corners of comfort horror.
Grab your games and your gummy worms.
It's time to get a goddamn plan.
I feel like very meandery today, so hopefully I can get a little snappier.
This conversation is going to need meandering. I have weird feelings about this movie.
Did you? It is weird.
Yeah, I think I'm still confused how I feel about it, and I'm hoping to arrive at a stronger emotional conclusion by the end of this episode.
Oh my god, like, why do you seem disturbed?
Because the internet loves it. Like, it's such a cult classic.
For sure.
And it should be something I loved, but it felt like it straddled a line where it almost was super bad, but then it wasn't super bad, but it wasn't super good. And I just don't see it. I really
all right, well,
I'm having a hard time.
You're having an existential crisis about Tremors. That's really funny. So this is kind of what I was asking you last week, where I was like, how much is too much camp? How much is too much gore?
Yeah.
Where is that line? And clearly this movie is going to bring that discussion to light, because you are not sure.
But
I don't. Tremors.
But it's that I think that Tremors is not enough camp.
How? It's so campy.
But also it's kind of well done, and they make a lot of good decisions.
Right.
And I don't know. We have a whole discussion. We're gonna we'll see how it plays out for me.
Yeehaw! Oh man, well, we kind of just did a little mini intro discussion. You have feelings. You have a lot of feelings.
This is gonna be a journey. This episode is gonna be a journey for me, I think, and I need your guidance on that journey.
Okay, no, I am totally ready to be your spiritual guide through the movie Tremors, because I myself went on a really intense journey with Tremors. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, I really would, after you're laughing at me going on an intense journey.
Mine is over several years. It's a little less of a last night you went on a journey.
Yeah. 2 nights. I obviously watch it over 2 nights because that is my adult life. I never watch a movie in one sitting.
You need
a
sad 24-hour intermission.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So I don't remember how old I was when this happened, but Tremors is a core trauma memory for me. I went down into the basement where my mom has her little sewing room, and she has a TV, and when we were growing up, she would watch movies down there. So I remember I wasn't going down there to watch it, but I was passing through, and the scene with the boardwalk happened.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the scariest thing I had ever seen. When you're younger and your brain sees something and it can't process what it's seeing. It was this visceral reaction where I was I am so scared. It's I can still feel that in my body of standing in the basement being what is happening on the screen? And where do those live? And I was so scared. So for years and years and years, I thought Tremors was a really scary movie. This is too disturbing. This is not to be watched, and I ignored its existence.
Okay.
Then I met Chris, my now husband, and he loves this movie. And I was it's not really a scary movie guy. I don't know. What do you love about this? He's it's just so funny. It's just a really fun movie. And I was what? Fun? Isn't it really scary, really gross? And he's no. We need to watch it if you can't recall. So we watched it. And of course, as an adult, I'm this is absurd. It's silly. The fact that it's a horror movie is a stretch, I would say.
I would agree.
you know, it technically fits. Like, you know, we've talked about how horror is like a huge spectrum, and there's family
Totally.
friendly horror and like horror only because, you know, a little bit of gore here or there. And this is just, you know, a pretty strict creature feature. But I mean, there's no real suspense, there's no real terror, there's no real
No.
fear. I mean, there's a little bit of fear a couple times, a little bit of tension, but the movie has keeps this sense of like everything's gonna be okay, kind of. Like it's not a movie where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're like things are bad. Yeah, like you said, like they're making pretty good decisions. They kind of figure out the rules of like how these
Mm-hmm.
creatures work and how what we need to do to defeat them. I mean, they're like very heavily armed, particularly the Reba
Yes.
character and her husband. Anyway,
Reba.
it is just like a feel good movie to me in a lot of ways. It's really fun. So yeah, my opinion totally changed, and I was like, it's funny to think that it scared me so much, and I think the boardwalk scene is still so good. I do think it's like great cinema. And this movie is surprising. It's interesting because you're right. It's not the it's not trying to be like, oh, this amazing cinema with this perfect storytelling, but it's like it's a really kind of high quality film. The first one only. The rest of the
I
sequels, I
can
tried
only
watching the second one
imagine.
and I was like, dear God, just sci-fi level silliness. Just they go far into like Sharknado territory
Ooh,
with the
I
sequels.
kind of want to
So
watch them.
maybe, yeah, maybe you would
Okay.
like really enjoy that. I don't think we even got through the second one, but and no Kevin Bacon, you know, he's one and done.
Yeah.
So for better or worse, because I think I perused your notes and you have some feelings about Kevin Bacon in this too.
We'll get there. We'll
But
get
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's a weird film because it straddles that line between like, am I trying to be a good movie? Am I trying to be silly camp? Am I trying to be like over the top, unbelievable? I think it's kind of a little bit of everything, which typically you like. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to dig in deeper as to like what troubled you.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
let's
let's
intro
introduce
yeah.
it. So, Tremors, the first one, was released on January 19th, 1990. So this film is roughly the same age that we are.
Mhm.
I've seen it classified as a monster horror and as a horror comedy. Those feel right to me. It's
Yeah.
our first creature feature,
Mm-hmm.
which is really exciting. We have a lot more to come.
Yes.
Rated 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. And then this is where it gets a little interesting to me. It has an 88% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes and 76% audience score.
Yeah, that's surprising.
The critic one,
Right. I mean, it is pretty good. It's a
I
pretty good movie.
guess.
I don't
But it's not
know.
like that good. I don't
No.
know.
No, but like, didn't you say that they just had to, if it was positive, it was purely like, this
Right.
movie
It
is
just has to
okay.
like go over it's just
It's
over
not
the
like they were rating it an 8
threshold.
out of 10.
Yeah.
So I feel like those numbers do get a little
Yeah.
bit confusing, but it does seem
Right.
high
Like
for
I
sure.
would rate it positively. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So, a little synopsis of this film. Repairman Valentine McKee, played by Kevin Bacon, and Earl Bassett, played by Fred Ward, are tired of their dull lives in the small desert town of Perfection, Nevada. But just as the two try to skip town, they happen upon a series of mysterious deaths and a concerned seismologist, played by Finn Carter, studying unnatural readings below the ground. With the help of an eccentric couple, played by Reba McEntire, who is phenomenal, and Michael
Mhm.
Gross, the group fights for survival against giant worm-like monsters hungry for human flesh. Thank you,
That synopsis
Wikipedia,
is
for that
perfect.
one. It
Okay,
was
we went to
spot
Wikipedia.
on.
That was really good. That's really good. The
Yeah.
IMDb ones we have been reading previously are a little
No,
rough.
Wikipedia is the way to go, especially for a cult classic, because you know those Wikipedia editor nerds who I love and respect very much. I donate to Wikipedia.
Oh
I
wow.
think it's a really important resource for
Okay.
the world. Anyway. They really nailed that synopsis.
Yes, that
It's
was good.
currently streaming on AMC Plus, or if you are like me and most of the rest of the world and don't have that, you can rent it, you know, the places that you can rent. Most
Or if you own
movies.
it on DVD like me, that works
There
too.
you go.
I found it
Even
at Goodwill
better.
and I was like, yep, yep. You're
Yeah,
coming home.
that feels right.
Yeah. I found out that there are 7 Tremors films.
Whoa.
Did not know that. And one of them, I think it's Tremors 5, I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. It's called Tremors Bloodlines. And I saw that and I was like, oh, another transfer.
Maybe we
Another
should
franchise.
maybe we should cover that one. Just like how I didn't see any of the Final Destinations in between First
Yeah.
and Bloodlines. Maybe this should just be my only other Tremor because
Well,
I'm
too, yeah.
genuinely so curious what Bloodlines could mean in this context.
I am too, and I also think that that is a great way to follow up Tremors is just to pick a random sequel. Like just out of the 6 sequels there have been, grab one out of the hat. Like, I don't even know. I don't think any of them went to theaters after this. That's my impression of the second
I'm
movie. They're
sure.
all straight. I don't even know they were straight to DVD. They may have been just like straight to Sci-Fi Network. I am curious, and I'm also going to be traumatized when we come back after watching Tremors Bloodlines, and you're like, I loved it.
I
Like,
feel like
Sarah,
this is
no.
gonna happen.
I can feel it coming already, but time will
That
tell.
feels right to me. Okay, you mentioned you perused my notes, but if I could just take a moment to read aloud to you the questions that I rhetorically wrote down live while watching this movie. We do not need to answer these questions, but just to give everyone insight into what's happening in my head. And this is just the questions because I wrote a lot of commentary too.
Hmm.
Okay, so for starters, what's the guy equivalent of a Scream Queen? Which I then Googled and they told me Scream King, and I think that's really lame.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yes, no, there's still Scream Queens in my head.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's a Scream Queen.
Why did they make Kevin Bacon so unlikable in this movie?
Mm. That's a hot
Who,
take.
yeah, we're going to talk about it. Who was still letting the kids go outside after they already knew about the worms?
That when you said that they make good decisions in this movie, everything except for minding your children,
Truly.
I don't understand.
Truly. I'm gonna give you this one with really no context. She had to take her pants off. Really? Major
Oh.
owl. Graboids.
Yes.
That's what they call.
So
That's what
good.
the shop owner called them before he died.
Graboids. It's such a good name.
Graboids. It's so good. I
I'm
love
all
it.
in on that. Mhm.
Yeah. Was this inspired by Dune? Which
I don't know anything about Dune. I've never seen it, never read it, nothing. I know it
there
exists and that it's very popular.
are giant sandworms,
I was
and
gonna
it's
say
like
there's a
a
lot of
major
sand.
plot point, and actually like a big thing that characters have to do, and it's like this weirdly cultural thing as they present it in the movie. Like it's like there's like this certain group of people knows how to do it, which is like move across the sand in this very particular rhythm so that the worms don't know you're above them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I looked up because of our paranormal story at the end of this episode. I looked up if like the connections, like where did this story come from? Because
Uh-huh.
the cryptid we're covering is so similar.
Oh.
And the cryptid, I think I can hear my little baby out there.
Oh no.
If you hear little squeakies, no, I think it's like happy squeakies. But
Oh,
I'm not
good.
sure. This will be Jed's first podcast. Whoa, 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 whoa. Really am distracted. Hold
We
on.
should have him on sometime.
We should. He has the cutest voice. Oh my gosh. It would be so cute. Anyway, I was looking up where the story came from, and the director, from what I read, the director was somewhere. This is my great research and storytelling here. He was somewhere and they were pole vaulting from boulder to boulder. I don't know if it was recreationally or what, but he was thinking like, what if there was something? It was a what if. It was just a classic what if
Okay.
storytelling moment. What if there was something underneath the sand that we needed to avoid? And then, the rest of the story came from that. So I'm sure that then there was, what kind of creature would this be? What would live in the sand? So I'm sure it could have been part of it. Because Dune is old, right? Book?
The book is pretty old, and apparently like what is widely accepted by fans online is that like it's all part of the same universe now. That's canon for a lot of people, which I think is very funny.
Interesting, because isn't Dune like an epic kind of sci-fi fantasy?
Takes place on like all these other planets. Yeah, absolutely.
This is in Nevada.
Yeah, but like we don't know where they came from, right? Like they don't explain the origin of the Graboids, so I think that's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm into it.
Which I will touch on how they discuss the origin when we get to our science talk today. Anyway, I have one last question. One last question I wrote down. Mm-hmm. So the cliff peeing scene from the beginning was foreshadowing.
It is a choice to have an opening scene be urination. It's a choice.
Not only urination. So he's peeing off the side of this cliff, Kevin Bacon is, and then as he's walking away, they're like trying to make him kind of gross, and he's like picking a wedgie.
Yeah, he's pretty gross, but I think he's got a pretty good arc. But should we talk about Kevin Bacon now, or should we hold off?
Let's talk about Kevin Bacon now.
Okay.
And I mean, he has a good arc. He does.
He does. Well, because I feel like they do establish him. Like, it's very obvious that he's supposed to be gross because they're also driving up to try to find the seismologist.
Yes.
And he's, like, being very, like, I hope she's hot, basically, in all these creative ways. And then they drive up and she's got on, like, kind of a frumpy-ish outfit, a bucket hat, and has sunscreen on her nose. And it's
classic,
very comically done. I mean, she's beautiful, but he's just like, she's not putting it all out there the way that he wanted to. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he seems just like a kind of a gross jerk at the beginning, but then has this nice evolution. And I find him pretty likable throughout kind of the remainder of the movie. Like at the beginning, I'm like, ugh. And then he kind of steps up and, grows up overnight. All he needs is some deadly worms and he becomes a hero.
I will give you that. Like especially at the end when the iconic line, I've learned this is an iconic line, when he goes, "I've got a goddamn plan," which is a callback from the beginning of the movie when he's giving his friend a hard time for her always needing a plan. It's like a insight into my own marriage. I am the planner. I like to have a plan. But I feel like before that, I don't know, his accent made me feel like my ears were bleeding.
He's still like I think he's likable, but he's not like swoon worthy. I find Earl a little bit swoon worthy.
Oh, I also find Earl a little swoon worthy.
Earl did not have an arc. I was just like on board with Earl for the whole thing.
100%.
He's just so sweet. He's right about everything.
Yeah.
He's so calm. He's so kind. He's just, I love Earl.
He treats Kevin Bacon like an annoying little brother.
Yeah, which he clearly is. Yeah.
Earl's great. I am totally on board with Earl. They didn't make him sound like a complete idiot.
Right.
I wasn't feeling Val.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't think he was a character where I was like, oh, this guy is great. But like I said, by the end, I was, you know what? He's okay.
Yeah,
he's okay.
He comes around.
He's likable enough and enough for us to be like rooting for him. Like I think throughout it's enough for us to root for him. And then I like kind of the banter between him and Earl. And I think if it was just Earl and then like another like kind of nice salt of the earth guy, it would have been pretty boring. So I feel like their dynamic is good and they're different enough characters that it makes the story more engaging. But was it confusing for you because you are like wanting to like Kevin Bacon? Like, was it because it was Kevin Bacon that it was the problem?
Kevin Bacon. I think that's possibly it.
And you just wanted him to be like a character where you're like, I love Kevin Bacon in this movie, where you're like, ugh, he played a really annoying character, but he played him good. Pretty good.
Maybe.
Yeah. Do you like him more in this or Friday the 13th? Because I didn't realize we just did two.
We did two.
Almost back-to-back Kevin Bacon movies.
Which I love.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if you saw, but in my stream of consciousness note-taking while watching the movie, I was like, should we do a whole podcast where we watch Kevin Bacon's prolific filmography from start to finish? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, oh, gosh, we just need this to be our job.
And that would be
1,000%. If this podcast ever became a full-time job, I would put aside a week, and that is what we would have, a Kevin Bacon week. No
I don't know if we
problem.
could do
We'll rank
it
them.
in a week. Kevin
That's
Bacon
true.
has been in
Month.
so many
That's true.
things.
That's true.
So
And
many
a
things.
really wide range, like in terms of quality, genre. He's been
Yeah.
all over the place.
But has he been in enough horror movies where we would consider him a scream queen?
I think so.
I think so too, right? Like he's in
Yeah.
like iconic horror movies when he's in
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. He's in enough, and he was in some
Yeah.
random queer horror movie that I saw recently that was called something. It was called something. Yeah, good one. It was called it was called They Them. Very bizarre film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That feels
what
like
is
a
that?
dangerous title to start with.
The whole movie, yeah, is like really. It's about a conversion camp.
Oh no.
I feel like this whole little conversation should probably be cut because it's just kind of like a trigger warning.
Wait, was Kevin Bacon like a villain in it?
Yeah.
Is he having a villain arc like Hugh Grant is?
I don't know. He was like the owner, head of the camp, whatever. So obviously not a good guy.
Okay.
But it's a lot. I think it was made by Peacock, and it was like why are you going here without maybe doing like the necessary research and background.
Got it.
And,
okay.
You know what I
That's
mean?
what like immediately what my fear was when you said the name of it.
I wouldn't say that it was like, I don't know. It's hard to say like without being a member of the community to be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, I don't know how it would feel. But it was a choice, and I was like, I don't think. It seemed more like using that to be like inflammatory, and I don't know. It like trying to be woke, but like if you're trying to be woke, like are you woke?
Yeah.
Do we want to be woke?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not a very articulate opinion. I wasn't ready for
That's
this
what
conversation, but we can always circle back to that movie in the future if it comes up.
But I love
if we do a Kevin Bacon month.
I love that he is entering his villain era. I think that is great. And he's still in so many things. Spoiler alert, if you have not yet watched the show Sirens, skip forward 2 minutes, and I'm going to spoil it for Ashley because I don't think that's a show you're going to watch.
Probably not.
No.
I trust your judgment.
So Kevin Bacon is in it. It's just a 5-part miniseries, and he plays this billionaire, but he's like this really, really nice guy. Like he knows like the names of the kids of all of the people who work for him, like his chef and stuff like that. And he's so nice. And the whole time I'm like, you're going to turn out to be a sleaze, aren't you? And it is like the last 15 minutes, it all comes out like that. And he was so good. He was so good. He's entering his villain era. I'm here for it.
Wasn't he the villain in another movie earlier on? It was like The Invisible Man or something.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Like I just have a like vague memory, like an old thriller where he is invisible and tormenting a woman or women. I don't remember. We didn't do our research on Kevin Bacon, so we're
here to talk about Tremors, and let's get back to it. So another contender for a real scream queen in this movie, who I do not believe acts anymore, but the little girl in this is the little girl from Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah,
she's so good.
She is great. She's a great, I don't even say like child actor. Like she's just good.
She is like great at making me feel her fear.
Yes.
She is one of the reasons that Jurassic Park is so scary.
I totally agree. Agree.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
Amazing. Great scream queens in this. Let's talk about the science. Can we talk about the science for a second? Because I'm going to come up from here. This is my last gripe.
Okay.
And then we can talk about good things.
Yeah, no, here,
It's
hit
not a
me
gripe.
with.
It's just a goofy thing. It's so goofy, and I couldn't not say it out loud.
Okay, you got to get it off your chest.
Okay, so Rhonda, our seismologist, who, to define that, is someone who studies earthquakes. So she is a form of geologist.
Okay.
Let's just establish that here. Also just becomes an expert in all things science in this movie. And there's this one line where they're stuck on a rock and they're trying to figure out where these worms come from. And she's like, very definitively, first of all, says, well, they're not in the fossil record. How in the world would you know that? And then she goes, which makes them billions of years old. Which is not how the fossil record works. That's not how biology or evolution or anything works. And it killed me. It was too much for me.
Is this something you learned like as an anthro major?
No.
Or just like, okay.
This is just
I mean,
me like just like having like a base level understanding. Like just because there's so many things that have lived and died that aren't in our fossil record because we haven't found them or because they weren't preserved.
Okay, yeah, I don't even know what the fossil record is, but I think we've had this conversation before where it's really funny because I do the same thing, where if something isn't fair, this is, I think I'm using language from the movie Misery, like we want a story to be unbelievable just to the point of like it still needs to be fair. Like we can't just have something that totally doesn't make sense because it snaps us out of that like suspending our disbelief. But it's really funny because like you will fully accept that like there are graboids they're eating people.
Yeah.
But you are like, and we don't know where they come from, but not because of what she said.
She is a size. Okay, they should have made her a paleontologist, which may have been like a little bit too like Jurassic Park. Although Jurassic Park came out after this, but the book would have come out before this. Anyway, they should have made her a paleontologist. This is the second movie in a row in which I have. That has a character. Second movie in a row I have watched that has a character that is a seismologist for literally one reason, and that is to have one scene where they have an instrument that shows the ground is shaking.
I kind of like that though. She should have been, here's what she really should have been. She should have been a double PhD seismologist and paleontologist, and then that would have explained why she knows everything. And that I would have totally believed because she's, was supposed to be this really smart, elevated character in contrast to Kevin Bacon's buffoonery, but also like creativity and a little bit of, what's the word when you're like kind of brave? I don't know. It's not coming to me because it's not very Kevin Bacon-y in this movie. I'm like, scrawny? I don't know.
He is very scrawny in this movie.
He is.
So anyway, that is my gripe. With that being said, Rhonda is amazing.
Love her.
The girls in this movie are like some of the best horror film girls I've ever seen.
I agree. They really nailed the female characters. Like Kevin Bacon is the annoying chick, character. Like usually that is like, he has that bravado. That's the word.
There you go.
He has a little bit of the like bravado and but it's like mixed in with all of these other just not as macho kind of traits. So he's just not super strong or fierce or has any special skills. So he's just kind of like, I don't know, like usually we're complaining about, oh, like, they have all these really fun, well-rounded male characters and then this like token female, where I feel like the female characters were really well-rounded. I feel like a lot of the characters were really well-rounded, even though we didn't get to spend a ton of time or dialogue with them. They still had fun enough quirks, and were pretty consistent that I really enjoyed the community of characters. They're so fun.
Yeah, the whole community was great. Rhonda was so capable. Besides that one scene where they came up with an excuse to make her take her pants off, she is like dressed like a scientist, like a seismologist out in the Nevada desert would be.
Yeah.
Like I loved that. And then Reba.
Oh my gosh. So good. And her husband. They're
Yeah.
fun. They're fun
Yeah.
little,
So
little couple.
this was Reba's first acting role.
Yeah.
She'd been a musical artist for years. This was her first ever acting role. She was so good. Her character is so capable. So her and her husband have this like basement full of guns and weapons, and she is like just as adept as he is in all of them.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. That I think this movie, which maybe didn't strike you the same way, but maybe it will if you ever give this a second chance. This movie, like we're talking about the cast of characters and these quirky, likable characters, and not necessarily like if you put Reba and her husband on paper, I'd be like, I don't like them. Like,
oh yeah,
not for me. But in this movie, they're super likable. They're super fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfect for the story. And I think that part of why I like this movie is because of Chris. But another part of it is because it has these cozy elements, I think, that make the story special. Like, I find the town to have that, like, it reminds me, it's nostalgic for me. It reminds me of 2 separate road trips where I went through either Nevada or the desert. Kind of brings me back to that. I feel like I know that town. Like, I've driven through that town.
Mm-hmm.
And just the really quiet town with just everybody knows everybody, but like there's still some interesting people who live there. And, you know, it's not particularly charming. It's not trying to be like super cute, but there's something about it that just gives that like cozy community feel to me. I don't know. And I think that's part of why people like it. It has this ability to like make you a little bit attached to it, you know?
And they all know each other, and then they all like come together and look out for one another.
Yeah.
I think that is really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cozy feels right to me. I'm with you.
I mean, we're a cozy horror podcast, so it's gotta be at least a little
we
cozy,
should be.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta be a little cozy.
We'll find
it's always
the
a stretch.
cozy.
Yeah. I'm like, what here is cozy? I'm like, gross worms, no. Sand, no. Quirky townspeople, yeah.
100%. We are here for it.
Old-fashioned gas stations. I like, you know, there's a few of those still out there. Oh my gosh, where they're like, I'm like, where do I put my credit card? Where does it go?
It's cute. It's cute. Okay, can you tell me more about why this movie is funny? I don't get it.
Like why it's considered a horror comedy by some?
Yeah, and like you said, Chris thinks it's really funny. Funny is not what I got in my watch.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't think I have much to offer here. Because I don't remember thinking it was particularly funny. I think fun. I do think the banter between the 2 main characters is funny at times, but it's not
where
like
I
a
struggled because
funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably just not your cup of tea.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, in terms of humor.
Have to be, yeah.
But I think it. I'm still just. I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused because I'm thinking back and I'm like, it's so campy. You know, it's like it seems up your alley for sure, but maybe it's just not.
But like the practical effects were really good. Like had the worms been ridiculous, had the boardwalk scene not been so well done, it would have been campy. But instead, like they did a good job.
I know, but the Graboids, I think the practical effects are good, but they're still very goofy. Like they look like something you'd see at like Chuck E. Cheese come out of the ball pit and like grab a small child.
Terrifying and fair.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have anything really concrete to offer there.
All right. Well, we don't think the movie is that funny. That's okay. It is campy. Oh no, I just can't. It's okay. It's okay. It's not my favorite movie, and that's fine. It's because they do too good a job.
Yeah, I'm learning more about you as we go. You're complex. It's nuanced, you know?
Yeah, it's nuanced.
I'm learning the nuance to your taste. Like do you want it to be like Sharknado?
Yeah.
Like all the
I
time?
want it to be so like Sharknado is ridiculous camp, but it can also be like over the top camp, like the gore in Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yes.
Like it's that over the top, which isn't like as, I mean, it was still pretty ridiculous, but it's not Sharknado ridiculous. Like there's got to be that over the topness for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This movie was very grounded. I think that's how I feel about it. It was a well-told story. They had subtle foreshadowing in the first scene. He's peeing off that cliff, and I assume it's because it's a bad movie, and that is the choice they have made. But then you find out at the end, it ties into Kevin Bacon making this genius plan to lure a worm to the cliff and burrow out the sides so that it splats on the ground hundreds of feet below. There's the foreshadowing of like them arguing about how Earl likes to make a plan and Val doesn't, and then at the end Val has got a goddamn plan. Like it's
I am like
not
dying
campy,
inside right
it's
now.
well done.
I'm dying right now that you're like, I did not like this. It was good. Like, I'm so upset. This was a quality movie. This is not what I was told to expect.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I was expecting more camp.
Yeah. I think your expectations maybe ruined it, but that is really funny that your critique is like, it's too damn good. You know, I think you liked it. I think expectations ruined this for you.
Yeah, I did not dislike it. I did not I wasn't bored most of the time. I wasn't
it's pretty good.
I wasn't like, oh God, I just wasted an hour and a half. Like I liked it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. It didn't hit the mark for you, but you can acknowledge why it's hits the mark for a lot of other people.
Yes. 100%. Do you have any last thoughts on this before I transition to an explanation of why today's game has been canceled?
Is it raining? No. I think we pretty much covered all of the hot spots. I think that it's you went in with a certain expectation and it wasn't met. I went in thinking like I'm gonna be scared, and then was like, "This is a fun ride." And
it's like
my husband
almost
loves
the
it.
opposite. Yeah.
And you know when someone you care about really loves something, and then you were like, "This is fun," and it just like it's easy. It's much easier to get on board when you're with a fan. And you know, it's like if someone watched Lord of the Rings with us and they enjoyed it, then we would be like bonded for life. Whereas I think like Courtney watched it with me once, and she watched The Two Towers, and she like liked one scene, and I just was like, "You're my best friend." You know, it's like we're bonded, we're sisters for real now. It's like the opposite then when you try to show someone something that you love and they don't like it, and you're like,
That's always a hard one.
My world is shattered. My world is shattered. It happens a lot with Chris. Not that he necessarily dislikes movies I show him, but he will fall asleep.
Okay. Yeah.
I would get mad initially about that. A little offended, and now I'm just like, he's just tired.
We're just
worried. All tired.
I feel like at some point on this podcast we may get to a movie that you love that I don't end up enjoying. We'll see.
I mean, I think we've already had enough of that. Like, you weren't over the moon about Murder, She Wrote, and so I was like, well, the podcast is canceled and we're no longer friends.
This episode never happened.
Did I not say that out loud? Yeah. Oh, is this my first time telling you that? We're not actually friends. And this podcast
dislike
is...
Murder, She Wrote. I just didn't like it the level that you liked it.
I know. I'm like, I'm fine. Okay. No, it's okay. I think, despite what I just said, I think we're mature enough to agree to disagree. And we'll also see. Generally, I'm the popular votes in terms of what the internet says.
I think it's true. I think it's very true. Yeah.
I mean, if we watched like the original Halloween and you were like, I did not like it, I would just be like, well, it's okay to be wrong.
I think
You
that
know?
that would be like, but why are you doing this podcast then?
Yeah,
It's such a
yeah,
fundamental one.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely like so. I think Chris doesn't really. We're meandering now, but like I think Chris doesn't really didn't like Halloween when I showed it to him because it's like a slow burn and he doesn't do slow
Because
burns.
he
So it's
falls
like
asleep.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it is a slow burn. So I'm like, oh, for someone who likes, kind of cheesy action flicks, it's probably not going to be for you.
Okay.
But as long as you respect it, you know what I mean? Like you didn't really care for
Yeah.
Tremors, but you respected it. Like if you went
I
in and you're just like
That's the
Halloween is
problem
trash.
with Tremors. I respected it too much.
Too much. Yeah, you're like, how did we get here?
I needed
All
just to
right.
go
Well,
further over one line.
yeah,
It's
well,
two in the
watch
middle.
Tremors 2, Tremors Bite
I
Back, or
can't
whatever the heck
wait.
it's called.
No, we've
It'll
watched
be
Tremors
fine.
Bloodlines.
Earl is in Tremors 2 and other ones. It's like Earl and
Oh,
Reba's husband, whatever his name is, I
okay,
think.
great.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, I thought the first one was campy, so maybe my camp meter is off, but it was so campy that I could barely sit through it, so I'm curious to see if you prefer it.
Can't wait. Add it to the
All right,
schedule.
tell me why the game is canceled.
Okay, so I was really excited for this because we were going to play a classic game. I was not going to make up a game. Are you familiar with 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
for
am
our
a conscious
listeners,
human. Yeah.
just in case, Kevin Bacon is such a prolific actor that this game slash system was basically created to say, like, basically any other actor can be tied back to Kevin Bacon in 6 degrees or less. So if there is a movie that Ashley Drake is in, and then Ashley is in a movie with me, and then I am in a movie with Cinnamon, and Cinnamon, the dog, is in a movie with Kevin Bacon. What that means is that Ashley is 3 degrees separated from Kevin Bacon.
What kind of scientist are you now?
I'm a
You're a
baconologist.
genealogist, a baconologist. That's good. I like it.
Yes. So I was like, okay, let's go back to some of the movies that we've watched so far on the podcast, pick the star of the movie, and figure out how many degrees of separation between them and Kevin Bacon. I had this whole thing planned,
Yeah.
and I was like going to give you hints of like what movies and actors to jump through. Every single one, 2 degrees. 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So there's only one person, and I was like, this isn't a game anymore. It's not fun.
That's so
because
funny.
Kevin Bacon has been in so many movies with so many people. Like I started with Scream, and I was like, okay, Kevin Bacon, Nev Campbell, how many degrees of separation? Oh, they were in a movie together.
Okay.
1 degree of separation. Like, and it just went on from there. It was, anyway, the game is canceled. I did not bring a new game to this, but I did want to talk about,
That's funny.
It's called the Bacon Number. And there's actually a website you can go to that looks like it was built in like the early 2000s. Maybe it was, and it has never been updated. And I love that about it. It's called oracleofbacon.org. We will link it in the show notes. And you can literally just type in the name of an actor and find out what their bacon number is. You can actually apparently do it with other actors too, which I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I love that someone took the time to do this. It's really funny. Okay, that's it for today's comfort horror recap. Sweet dreams, homebodies.
And now it's time for your bedtime story.
Sara, welcome to our first cryptid feature.
Yay!
Do you have a favorite cryptid?
No, I would have to think about that so much more.
Yeah, I probably should have sent you this question in advance. That's really. Do you have ones where you're like, they're kind of cool, or I know a little bit more about them than I should? Do any come to mind, or am I just putting you on the spot and you're like, what is a cryptid even?
No, I did recently Google this to make sure I had a good understanding of what a cryptid was because my hairdresser is just like a lot cooler than I am. Like she would love stuff like this, and she asked if we talked about cryptids, And I was like, yeah, totally. And then I had to Google it to make sure that was right. And I was like, okay, we will. It's fine.
Yeah. You're like, am I a liar? I actually, like, cryptid was a word that I'm, like, very familiar with, and I know of a lot of cryptids. And then I was researching for this episode, and I was like, do I know an actual cryptid, like, what that means? Like, could I define it? If someone was like, what is a cryptid? I'd be like, it's a thingy, cool thingy in the woods and sometimes other places. No. It's basically some kind of creature that is not confirmed whether it's real or not. That's a cryptid. Yeah. I think I do have a favorite cryptid. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about this, but I think mine might be the Mothman. I just really big fan of his work. Very creepy. One of my earliest horror films was Mothman Prophecies. Oh. We'll probably talk about that just because I have like my own special part of my lore. But yeah, I just think the Mothman sightings, the bridge collapse, like it's just such a story that's hard to believe it's real.
I love it. Allison, the hairdresser, and I talked about Mothman very specifically, so
funny. But we're not talking about the Mothman today. Today, we are talking about the Mongolian Death Worm. So this is our worm podcast. We now have a worm podcast. So to find this little critter who sounds so sweet and cute, we are traveling all the way to the Gobi Desert, which spans a large region of northern China and southern Mongolia and is the 5th largest desert in the world. We're not on the podium, but we're pretty big. I don't have a good idea of how big deserts are, but it's big, okay? It's very big. I also learned that it is what's called a semi-desert. Did not know that was a thing, but it has some grass and vegetation, it's not a total barren wasteland. I'm not sure how that works. Also, unlike what I presumed to know about deserts, it gets very cold here. So in the winter, at the Gobi Desert, it'll be like negative 36 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold.
Deserts can get real cold, yeah.
So it is the coldest desert, aside from the polar deserts. I'm just giving you a lot of Gobi Desert facts here, okay? I just gotta set the scene. Also, at the Gobi Desert, I found out that it is the second most popular paleontology site in the world. Now, this website that's giving me all these facts seemed a little bit like, we're number one. Like, it was a little trying to... so, I don't know. I didn't fact check that, but there are a lot of cool dinosaur shit there, okay?
Adding to the fossil record.
There you go.
The Gobi Desert.
So we wouldn't have been able to, I mean, maybe we would have to check the fossil record to see if this cryptid is real, and there's nothing in the fossil record, so it's got to be billions of years old. Science, Sarah. Accept it. All right. So, why are we in the Gobi Desert? Why are we talking about it? Who lives there? Maybe I'm going to get into the cryptid. I don't know. First, I'm going to tell you there's a handful of humans who live there. I don't know if they live there. It seems like they're just nomads who kind of pass through, make camp. I'm not really sure what they're up to. But, it's not so barren, like I said, that things can't exist. So there's a lot of other creatures roaming around the Gobi Desert. We've got wolves, foxes, golden eagles, gazelles, many others. There also is something called a marbled polecat. And I was like, what the heck is that? I need to know. I bet it's cute. And guess what it is? I'm going to show you.
Please do. Oh my God, that's adorable.
It's like a Oreo flavored ferret.
Oh my God, that's fluffy ears.
Yeah. Ugh. Adorable.
Wow.
Okay, so that lives there.
Okay.
Marbled
I love it.
polecat.
I'd like one.
I would too, actually. If you see you'll have to look at other pictures of it. Just
I obviously already am.
Yeah. You feel like I'm pulling up a Google tab here.
Yeah.
So in the Gobi Desert, interestingly, there's several endangered species like the snow leopard, and there's actually an extinct type of bear known as the Gobi bear. There's only 30 left, and they're all in the Gobi Desert.
Wow.
And, yeah, I know. It's so interesting, and they're cute. They just look like kind of Dusty bears. But it's so interesting that something is extinct but also still exists. That was interesting to learn, because there's a threshold. It's like if you're below a certain number.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, 30 is not a lot to,
No.
And I'm sure, I mean, that number may have changed. I don't know how up to date that website is, but hopefully the Gobi bears are still out there. They're cute.
I know.
But they're struggling. Okay, so I haven't told you a thing about this cryptid. We've got snow leopards.
But I do feel like I'm watching a nature show right now, which is a pastime of mine.
I did a mini nature documentary to bring us into the scene here. So we've got the snow leopards, we've got the last of the Gobi bears, we've got the dinosaur fossils, we've got views that stretch for miles, and then there's something else that is said to inhabit the Gobi Desert. But this creature lives underground. Underneath the sands of the Gobi Desert is said to be a creature, large, worm-like, and deadly. This creature is known as the Mongolian Death Worm. Okay, this thing looks exactly as you would expect. I'll just have you do a quick little Google of just pictures, because there's just, it's all art and renditions. So I just want you to kind of take it in as a whole, because there's no one picture that captures this little fella.
Oh, you're right. They are very different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Partially because it's a cryptid. Like, we don't really know what it looks like, if it's real or not. You be the judge. Anyway. In his book, The Unexplained, an illustrated guide to the world's paranormal mysteries, I feel like I want to buy this book, author Carl Schuker describes the Mongolian death worm. Here is the quote. It is said to resemble a large fat worm up to 1 meter. It's about 3 feet for us U.S. Americans. Long and dark red in color with spike-like projections at both ends.
Oh.
Yuccas. Kind of yuccas,
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, this is kind of sounding familiar, like, is this not a graboid, basically?
Yeah.
It's said that possibly the Mongolian death worm was part of the inspiration for the Graboids and Tremors.
Okay.
I think it seems like if you were to Google large man-eating worm, this would quickly come across your desk. So I'm sure it was part of the developmental process of that film.
Yes.
And similar to the Graboids, if you come across the Mongolian death worm out in the wild, you are going to want to head for higher ground and fast. Locals are very afraid of this thing, and for good reason, because according to legend, this oversized grub is a bit of a killing machine. Its favorite meal, humans, although it is said to eat a lot of livestock too.
Okay,
and local lore tells that it kills you by spewing a highly corrosive and poisonous yellow venom on you. You're just
That's such a terrible way to go.
You turn to, you're just like, your skin, everything just goes. And then, I don't know, like, that doesn't seem like a great way to eat something that's just, like, fully corroded. But that's what they say to do. If you're not close enough, it's also said to be able to send an electric shock to stun you and get you that way. So this thing has got skills, okay?
Yeah.
Is it real, though? Basically, all the evidence, or lack thereof, is pointing to no. There's no photographic proof, there's no physical evidence on the record, but what there is just loads and loads and loads of eyewitness accounts.
Oh.
So many people saying they have seen the Mongolian death worm.
But survived.
Well, yeah, if they're an eyewitness.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I couldn't find there's a sheer number of eyewitness accounts. I couldn't really find, stories or anecdotes that would suggest that the thing is so prolific that if you go to the Gobi Desert, you're going to see a giant worm. But, this is kind of how lore works, right? It's like so-and-so saw this and told so-and-so, and so it's just the story has lived on forever and ever, and that is part of it, right? It just got that kind of urban legend feel. And also, there's this belief that it's responsible for deaths and disappearances and livestock going missing, but I also just listed like a lot of other predators that live in the Gobi Desert. So there's that. There's also another side to the explanation of like people seeing something that they think is the Mongolian death worm. And that could be a similar worm-like creature that's real. So I'm going to describe to you some of the real creatures that people suspect may be responsible for either prior sightings or current sightings. And I will just say, I don't know to confirm that any of these creatures necessarily live in the Gobi Desert, but they are real.
Okay.
Real creatures. So in order for something to survive in the desert itself, it couldn't be like an actual worm. I think we're kind of assuming that, it's called a worm, but it's not like a, what we'd think of as like a little worm out on the out in the garden, because they're like wet, they need moisture, they're very flimsy. We're not
really
sifting through the harsh desert sands. So what it could be though is a snake or a legless lizard. Now, you might be thinking, is a snake not a legless lizard? Because that's what I was thinking. Like, what the heck is a legless lizard? Basically, it looks exactly like a snake, but they have defining characteristics. Like, I guess lizards have ears, and they can blink. They have movable eyelids. So there's certain things like that make you either a lizard or a snake. When I was looking up different pictures of the legless lizards, I was thinking that it kind of looked like if a child tried to draw a snake and then that snake was then brought to life by a genie. That's what the legless lizard kind of looks like to me. Like the eyes just look like they're kind of in a weird spot. Like the contours just aren't there.
That's
like
beautiful.
They're still creepy, but not in that like visceral snake way where you can see a snake and you're like, danger,
Yeah. Okay.
They're kind of goofy.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah, they can be kind of cute. Some of them do certainly look intimidating. If you saw that, like, and it's like it came because these like literally can come out of like the sand. Like you're not expecting to just see this like thick snake-like thing burrowing in and out of the sand. They do really look like lizard-like, some of the types.
Yeah.
So you could see.
Yeah, that little guy could have
looks
legs.
more.
Yeah. Okay.
More like a snake, but
it's different. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. They're weird. They're weird. I didn't know that they existed. So, according to my hot resources today, I'm like Wikipedia, tourist sites, and the Guinness Book of World Records. Guinness Book of World Records is, not hard and true necessarily, but they do check things, right? So if it's in there, they've checked it personally, right? So the longest legless lizard was measured at 4.43 feet long. So there could potentially be one of these fellas in the desert looking like a big Mongolian death worm.
Okay.
One other possibility they came across was that a long, long time ago, not quite a billion years ago, but billions of years ago, 47, it was millions of years ago though, 47 million years ago, there's a type of worm lizard that was discovered to live in Tunisia, and that was roughly 3 feet in length. So basically the thought is that either this ancient worm lizard was seen and then the lore began, and then it just was such prolific lore, and potentially this worm lizard that I'm talking about, this prehistoric worm lizard, was like, it would like crush things, like it would crush like eggs and like hard like things. Probably you could see it just like, like a small person, it could grab you and squish you. So you can see how this lore could start. Think of how many absolutely terrifying things like megalodons that like were real, right? That maybe extended into long enough like human storytelling years, and then it created this like sense of something totally creepy, large, and man-eating still being bad. I don't even know, like, Like when describing the worm, he's like 3 feet long. It seems like kind of little, but whatever. Anyway, scary enough. He shoots yellow goo and you dissolve.
Yeah, that's all. That's not gonna survive in the fossil record.
Right. So I don't know. It was kind of. I was expecting to find a little bit more. I didn't go too deep. Trying to find individual stories about the worm, but maybe he's out there, maybe he's not. But if you're ever in the Gobi Desert and you see something rustling up to you in the sand, I wouldn't wait around to find out.
No.
I'd be out of there. That's it. That's all I got for you.
Thank you for this nature documentary to close out our episode. It was beautiful.
This little creature. It was all about the creatures today.
Yeah, our first creature feature. So what are we talking about next week?
Sara, next week we'll be doing another fun new segment that we're calling Little Terror, which is basically similar to all of our other episodes, but kind of a bite-sized version, if you will. And for our first Little Terror, we'll be talking about the greatest episode of Boy Meets World of all time, titled And Then There Was Sean. I don't think I'm being dramatic about that.
It's definitely the best episode. Hands down.
Yeah, it's peak. So see us over there. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Haunted Homebodies. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
And remember, when in doubt, just stay home.